Welcome to the Airbnb Roadmap, the podcast designed to navigate you through the entire journey of short-term rental success. Whether you're just starting out or ready to take your hosting game to the next level. My husband and I became super hosts within just months of launching our first Airbnb and have proudly kept that title ever since. With over 350 reviews and an overall 4.95 star ratings, we picked up a hack or two I'm excited to share with you. In each episode, I break down the strategies, insights, and industry secrets that set profitable short-term rentals apart. From choosing the right property, understanding local regulations, and obtaining your listing to go beyond just the basics. I'm here to share everything you need to succeed. So if you're ready to map out your path to Airbnb success and unlock the full potential of short-term rentals, join me on the Airbnb Roadmap. Your journey starts here. Hey, I'm Brittany Wenninger with Porch Realty, powered by Real Broker LLC, and welcome back to another episode of the Airbnb Roadmap podcast. Today, we're going to talk about a topic that's not flashy, not glamorous, and definitely not anything that you would ever really honestly think about. But it's one of those things that can either make or break your hosting experience, and it honestly adds so much stress to your management, and that is trash. Now, you might be thinking, Brittany, really, like an entire episode on garbage? Oh yes, my friend, because here's the thing. Trash touches every single stay. And if you don't have a clear plan on how to manage the trash, it will add such a costly headache, a bad headache, and maybe even a hangover headache because it will give you bad reviews and just be super, super annoying. So today we're going to walk through everything you need to know about trash management for your Airbnb, from the questions that you should ask before even closing on the property to the systems that you can put in place so guests never have to wonder, where do I even put this banana peel? I have no idea why I just thought about banana peel, but I did. Actually, I do, because I definitely ate a banana in my car the other day, and it was pretty gross, like the peel, and I had no idea where to put that. So I think that's why I just randomly came up with banana peel. Anywho, step number 1 for your trash. Before you even fall in love with the property, you have to figure out how trash service even works in the area. In some cities and towns, trash collection is included in your property taxes. That means that you have a set pickup schedule, often with recycling, and you don't need to worry about finding a vendor. Easy peasy, right? We love that. But, and this is where things get a little tricky, in rural areas, it's totally different ballgame, like completely different. You might have to hire out a private trash company to bring you a dumpster or collection bins. In some places, there's no service whatsoever, and you'll need to haul trash to the landfill yourself or pay someone else to do it. I have the pleasure of experiencing every single type of trash shenanigans for our properties. The very first one is very self-explanatory. There is a company that comes, like it's included in our taxes, so a company comes, picks up the trash, everything is all good to go. You have recycling and trash every single week. Boom, done. Our second property, this one is in a rural area. And, well, there's no trash there, unfortunately. And we have a huge private drive, and it's gravel, and it's uphill, and it's steep. And even if we had someone come to the property to pick up the trash cans, it just wouldn't even, like, logistically work out. And the guest or cleaner, whoever, would literally have to walk down a long private drive to put the cans on the road that, the trucks would even pick up. So that is not ideal. And then the third one we thought was going to be easy peasy. It's in a city, so I don't know, you would expect that trash would be pretty self-explanatory. Yeah, no. I had no idea that there was like all these different types of trash rules. So for this property, recycling is every other. And then also, if you have like cans and bottles in bags in the recycling bin, the recycling company will not come and pick it up. Everything has to be pretty much loosey-goosey in the can for them to even pick it up, which, like, how ridiculous is that? So, like, it's just, I've never heard of that. I'm not a big fan. If this is how your house is, like, I'm sure you kind of grew up like that and you're just used to it. For me, I never even knew that was a thing. So trying to tell guests like the way it is there, kind of challenging. Now, another kicker to all of the shenanigans is that the property is a Airbnb. So not always, like, there won't be someone there all the time. And that has a whole nother bump to the road because you have to figure out, okay, well, if trash is, trash needs to go to the curb on Tuesday, but there's no one there, can the cleaner, stop by and put the trash to the curb? Oh, someone is actually at the property, so they can put the trash cans to the curb, but the next day they're checking out and the trash still wasn't collected, so who's going to take it back to the property? So there are so many aspects to trash that I myself never even thought about. And when people think of short-term rentals and, the maintenance, they're probably thinking like, oh, the toilet's going to get clogged, or, oh, the damage to the property. No one thinks about trash. So there are 3 questions that you need to figure out before even buying the property. 1, is trash collection included in taxes, or do you need a private vendor? 2, how often is trash collected? So is recycling every other week or is it every week? And 3, if it's not actually included in the taxes and you have to get a private vendor to pick up the trash, is there someone that could actually come and pick up the trash, or are you just kind of SOL? By answering these questions, you will kind of get a good idea of the trash management and how you actually have to deal with it. Because if it is a private vendor that you have to call and get that all set up, well, does that truck even go to your street? I had a short-term rental client, and unfortunately a truck did not go to his house. Even though it was a paved road, it was a dead end, and it pretty much made it almost impossible for the truck to even turn around. So for his guests, he does ask the guests to take all of their trash down to the road into a dumpster. Now, he even told me himself that guests do not like doing that, which I don't blame him. So, since he was getting a lot of bad reviews about the trash, he now has them take the trash into a bin right next to the house. And his cleaner will then take the bin to the dumpster and dump it. Well, unfortunately, the bin does get very heavy, so it needs 2 guys, and the cleaners aren't really too thrilled with that. But it also added another cost on his expense sheet because now he has to pay the cleaner extra to do that task. So definitely get those questions answered. Step number 2 is thinking about the capacity. Once you know how the trash service works, it's time to think about how much trash your property will actually generate. This depends on the guest capacity and the length of stay you expect. You know the feeling when you set a price for a rental and wonder if you're leaving money on the table? With Price Labs, that's a thing in the past. Price Labs takes the guesswork out of pricing by analyzing local markets, tracking big events, and understanding seasonal trends. It knows when to raise the prices for high-demand weekends, and trust me, you'll be shocked when guests book at those premium prices. As a host, I've seen firsthand how Price Labs maximizes every booking's opportunity. It's not just smart, it's essential now. And here's a bonus for my listeners. With the link in the show notes, you'll get first month free plus $10 credit toward your second month with Price Labs. There's never been a better time to level up your hosting game. Ready to optimize your income and let Price Labs do the heavy lifting? Click the link in the show notes to get started today. A 2-bedroom cabin with a max of 4 guests is going to probably generate way less than a 6-bedroom beach home that sleeps 16 people, especially if you get a lot of week-long stays. Here's a scenario from one of my coaching clients. She had a 6-person lake home, but only had 1 trash bin and 1 recycling bin. After her very first full booked weekend, she had trash bags piled up right next to the garbage bins because the garbage bins were already full. The guests didn't complain to her directly, but they did mention it in the review. So now that listing has a little ding underneath the cleanliness, even though the property itself was spotless, but the trashes weren't. Also, the neighbors made a comment that the trash bags were all over, in a pile, but next to the garbage, and they have a lot of raccoons. So there was a big risk of raccoons coming, eating the food, and spreading it everywhere. So if you're maxing out on your guest count, you might need to multiply trash bins or a larger container. And truthfully, I would probably say if you have more than 8 people at your property, you might want to get 2 trash bins and maybe even 2 recycling bins and just do it right off the bat. Don't think about the money, don't think about the costs, just do it because things will come up and the reviews will start piling up about how the trash management is not being cared for properly. Also, a little side tip is label your bins. Not every single county and township will have the blue lid for the recycling and the brown lid for the trash. And if that's not the case, make sure to label recycling and garbage. There are a lot of people out there that really love to make sure that their recycling is actually being recycled. And honestly, I don't blame them. Save the world, right? So make sure to label it so then that way you don't get any questions of which can is the recycling. I want to make sure that all of my bottles and cans are being recycled properly. Now, to add another thing to all this shenanigans is, this might seem small, but it's actually a big operational decision. Who has to get those bins to the curb and back? If you're in a city with weekly pickups, it's predictable. But what if your guests are the ones that are, bringing the trash bin to the curb and back? Do you ask them to roll it out, or do you have the neighbor do it? In some big vacation markets, there are companies that will come to your property just to move the trash bins in and out. Yes, there is a market for that, which is absolutely ridiculous. They might charge about $10 to $20 per trip, and it's totally worth it if you don't live anywhere near there and your cleaner, guest, or neighbor won't do it for you. But in the smaller towns, those companies don't exist. So you'll need to figure out if the cleaner can do it or if you have to figure out a whole another game plan. So for our properties, we do have a auto text message that pretty much just goes out when it's trash day, the night before trash day. And I say, hey, so sorry to ask this of you, but can you please bring the trash bins to the curb? Tomorrow is trash day. Most people don't mind. Some guy actually said it's going to charge you $5. I'm like, okay, dude, come on. But most people don't mind. But the struggle that we always come across is that the bins are full and no one is at the property to actually take it to the street. Now, have we asked the cleaner to do this for us? Yes. Do the cleaner mind? No, she doesn't mind. But we do pay them extra to do this additional service for us. Now, for the second property that is completely in the rural area, we pay her money to pretty much just take care of the trash. So in those trash cans for the rural property, we do have the very, 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 very large black bags that go into the trash can because we found that a lot of people were just throwing miscellaneous stuff in there. So like the trash that they have in their car, and the cans were getting absolutely disgusting. So now we have the big black bag that we put into the cans, and then, just like the normal garbage bags go into that black bag. That way she can take the big black bag and throw it into her personal... Actually, I have no idea where she takes the trash. I just know that she takes it. So that has worked. Now, does it get an overfill a lot? Honestly, yes. But it's because sometimes she doesn't take it she doesn't keep up with it. And then at that point, I'm like, hey, the cans are completely full. You need to keep up with this. Now, the third property, again, the cleaner does take the bins out to the curb and take them back if the guest does not do it. Luckily, she only lives about, I would say, like a mile, 2 miles away from the property. So she just drives by, sees that the cans are to the curb, and then she'll bring it back to the house. But the problem that we are seeing with that one is that property is on a busier road. And while I was there doing some landscaping, I heard some kids say, oh, this is the house that we almost ran into the trash cans. And I was like, oh my gosh, kids are on their bikes and they almost run into the trash cans. So that's not good. So I have had to kind of like remind this cleaner of like, hey, like, please be on it. Please take the cans back to the house like the next morning, or I mean, obviously like the day of, but like the second that the trash cans are empty, please take it to the house, because I don't want either one, a car running over these cans because it was a windy day, or two, a kid gets knocked out because he wasn't watching and literally hits the trash can, which I low-key did when I was younger, and it's not fun. So, moral of the story for that one: who is responsible for the trash cans, taking it to the curb and bringing it back? And finally, let's just chat about what people can and can't put into the trash bins. One of the properties on a river. Do we allow people to put fish carcass in the bins? Honestly, now we don't. And we never would have thought of, telling people, no, please don't put fish in the bins. But people like catch fish and then they fillet them up and then they put like the bones and all that stuff in the bins. And there was one time, this is one of those properties we don't really go to it that often, but we went there and we opened up the trash bin. There was maggots everywhere, like literally gagging because of how much like little white maggots were just like they were hanging out in the trash bin, let's just say that. And then I realized that there was fish in there, and I was like, oh my gosh, someone like filleted a fish and then like put it in the trash bin for, to dispose of it. Well, that property was actually it was vacant for I think like a week and a half. So it missed a couple of, trash routes. And well, it was hot and it was just like, it was so gross. So we had to clean that out. I was gagging. I was literally about to puke the whole time. But now I don't have it on the trash bins of like things that you can't put in there. But if I know that someone's going to be fishing, I do kind of mention like, hey, if you're going to fillet it up, please dispose of it in a different manner besides putting it into the trash bins. And most fishermen are like pretty good about that. But other times, there's just like some large objects in the trash bin. Like, please don't throw that stuff away. Like, I would say throw it away, but like not at my property. So I have heard of people put signs on their trash bins of like no fish or no this or no that. I personally don't do it because honestly I just haven't really had time to make labels like that. But I have heard of people doing that because the trash bins get really gross if people just always throw random stuff in there. So that's it. That's all about trash. I know that this episode was super weird and not glamorous, but it's also one of those behind the scenes systems that when done right, guests don't even notice. But when it's done wrong, people notice and they will call you out. And it's going to get so annoying, especially if you have neighbors that they always see the trash bins to the side of the road. So they will contact you and say like, hey, like, please get the bins back to the house. I know this from experience. And 2 of the 3 properties, we always have a neighbor saying, hey, you guys are known for having the trash bins constantly to the curb. Like, please figure this out. And I'm like, thank you, Bob. Appreciate you. So as you're planning and buying your Airbnb, don't just look at the kitchen layout or, the hot tub placement or whatever, but think about the trash. I know that sounds so goofy, but think about the trash. Build that cost into your numbers. Make sure the capacity matches your guest load. And if you need to buy extra cans, make sure to do that right away. And put the systems in place so you never have to scramble on a Sunday night wondering who's rolling the bins out to the curb. But as always, if you have any questions about this or need any advice whatsoever, please let me know, because I feel like I have gone through the trenches with trash and I feel like I can now call myself the trash expert. So, from one trash expert to another, till next time. Thanks for joining me on the Airbnb Roadmap. If you're loving these episodes and want to keep the conversation going, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast with someone who's ready to dive into the world of short-term rentals. Got a question or topic you would love to hear about? Reach out. This podcast is all about learning and growing together. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram, the Airbnb Roadmap Podcast, for more tips, tricks, and behind-the-scene insights. Until next time, here's to turning your short-term rental dreams into thriving realities. I'll see you back here soon.